Hi guys, welcome to Brandix Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the 1999 film Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, I have done reviews at Brandix Reviews previously of these films, but I've never actually done a solo one on my own. So here I'm just going to kind of, not really review the film even, I'm just going to talk about my kind of thoughts, my memories, that kind of thing, and how I feel now. Because my feelings toward this film have definitely changed over the years, not just before the film came out. I had expectations, but then when I saw the film, I had feelings about it then, and over the years they have since changed, so it's quite an interesting one. I know that The Phantom Menace is definitely fairly key when it comes to how a lot of Star Wars fans feel about this franchise, because it was kind of a tipping point, really. But I'm going to give my spin on that anyway, because I guess I'm a typical Star Wars fan. To put this in context, I am now 34. I was 18 when this film came out, so I didn't get to see this film as a lot of Star Wars fans did as children. I was an adult, effectively, when this came out, so I was watching this film through the eyes of an adult. Granted, I was a young adult, but still, I wasn't like 12 or 7 or whatever. I didn't find Jar Jar Binks in any way amusing. A lot of my friends kind of defend the Star Wars prequels, but I think a lot of them are ones that actually were children when they came out, effectively. I was just kind of leaving childhood and, being an adult by the time this came out, so my thoughts on this from the beginning have been effectively watching it through those eyes. So depending on your age group is definitely something that's key. I mean, the whole thing is subjective. I mean, people that were children when this came out might equally hate the film, and people that were older than me when they saw this might love the film. So there's no one answer. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there, that maybe if you're a little bit younger than me, that might be the reason why you would defend this film, possibly. But now, it's not a terrible film, really, to be honest. It's not anything that's just god-awful. If this was its own film, and it was the first one to have come out, it would have been forgotten about. It would have been one of those things, like The Golden Compass, for example. Who's even seen that film? Not me. Who cares about it? It's not something that's just universally hated. It's just one of them, like, what is that film? I can't remember if I've seen it or not. That kind of thing. That's what The Phantom Menace would have been, I believe, if that had been the first film in the franchise. But it wasn't. So we're kind of judging this film in context of comparing it to those originals, those brilliant original films from 1977 to 1983. Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. So in that context, it's not that bad a film. It was just the letdown. And as I say, the point of this video is me kind of talking about my thoughts, my memories of it. So where do I start? I mean, I remember in the mid-90s, particularly when production really began on this film, and we knew this film was being made, that this trilogy was being made. So I would say from around about 95. Now, there wasn't really the internet. Well, there was, but it wasn't what it is today. So a lot of the things we heard were things that we read in magazines. I do remember in early 96, Star Wars magazine actually started, and there was the official magazine, and I was getting a lot of my information from there. So that's 3 years before that film came out. So hype was building years in advance, and as I said, this was before the internet, so I mean, hype does build nowadays on the internet, on social media, all that kind of stuff. But back then, if you were hyped about this, it came from in there, So I really think that is a very tricky standard for a mediocre film like The Phantom Menace to be judged by. And it just built up through the mid-90s, hearing things. There would be things on TV. I seem to remember there used to be this programme with Noel Edmonds. It was his Christmas gift or whatever. I can't remember the name of the thing. It was on Christmas Day, and it was where he'd go around disadvantaged people and, do something nice for them. And I seem to remember there was one where somebody got to go visit the set of the upcoming Star Wars film that we weren't going to see for at least a couple of years. This would have been, 95, 96 maybe? And little things like that just kind of built momentum up. And then in '96, in late '96, we had the trailers for the Star Wars special editions, which were coming out of the original trilogy that were coming out of the cinema. So again, that kind of built up this hype for this film that was going to come like in years to come. You know, a couple of years at that point. '97 was when they got released. So it was it was a very slow burning thing, and it just kind of built up. And I think around about '98, we started to see quite a lot of things. We saw toys on shelves for the film. I remember there was what's called a STAP, which was a vehicle that you see in the Phantom Menace, which the droids kind of fly, and they kind of stand upright on it, and it's kind of like a speeder bike from Return of the Jedi, but instead of it being horizontal, it's vertical, and it's got guns on it and stuff. Kind of like a hovering platform. And that was something that I think I got in '98, so it was the year before the Phantom Menace came out. I mean, in context, they haven't started selling the toys for the new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, until 3 months before, when we had Force Friday, which was, what, the 4th of September, I think. So to be selling toys for a film that the year before the film even comes out isn't unheard of in any franchise, really, but in a modern day context, things have changed. So very toyetic anyway, this I mean, it still is toyetic, but Phantom Menace certainly was a toy commercial more than an actual film to a lot of people, particularly the people that made it. I think part of the problem. But so this was something that was really building up, and I got suckered in. I mean, point of this video again, like I say, is my perspective, so I'm not just giving a history lesson. I point what I'm saying. When they were selling these toys, I got suckered in, and I was, 16 or 17 at this point, and certainly wasn't playing with toys, but it's like today, I'm still a collector of things. I mean, you can't really turn in my bedroom without finding some kind of collector's item that's effectively a toy for kids to play with, but as an adult, why do I own this? I collect them. That's the reason, and I always have. That's the reason why I was doing all this stuff back then. So I think that's definitely something that I got suckered in. It's kind of embarrassing looking back, really, because there's quite a few things he brought out, and I just, gave good money for these things for the Phantom Menace. I bought all sorts of junk just because it was Star Wars, the Phantom Menace related, and I was just like so hyped about the film. But that was kind of the point of it. And like I say, it's just embarrassing now looking back. And just before the film came out, I remember there were other toys as well. They re-released a lot of the characters' figures from the original trilogy, and they'd have these kind of like little box things with them, so that you could pull the pull this little tab, and you'd have a picture of, say, like the Emperor Palpatine. You'd pull the tab, and it'd show Senator Palpatine from the upcoming film Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. So it was all this kind of stuff, and anyway, the trailers came out, and I remember seeing the first trailer for the Phantom Menace in around about October, November, I think, of '98, and I was actually quite lucky because my mother had seen this on morning television and actually knew it was coming up, and quickly put a tape in and managed to record the whole trailer from start to finish. And this was again before the internet is what we have today. Now, you could download the trailers, but oh man, they took a long time to do. I think by the time the film was actually coming out in '99, I had slightly better internet. It wasn't 33k, it was like 56k. It was like very slightly better. And downloading the next trailers, and they took hours, and they would often crash after hours of downloading. You have to start again, and you paid for the phone bill as well when you were online. So again, like I said, the internet wasn't like it is today. So these are all the woes of being a fan of Star Wars back in the '90s compared to now, when you download a trailer on your phone, you can stream it or download it, whatever. So that was again something that just kind of really built up this hype, and the soundtrack came out at some point before the film and kind of ruined things. I seem to remember there was like a track on the soundtrack named Qui-Gon's Funeral. Brilliant, thanks for that, guys. Thanks for ruining the film there. Bit of a spoiler kind of thrown out. Again, in contrast, the soundtrack to the Force Awakens film is actually released on the day the film is released as well, from what I understand this time round. So there won't be any surprises there, hopefully, for that. Although I'm sure you can find the track listing if you're desperate, if you felt that way inclined. But anyway, that's a side issue. So the film came out eventually anyway. Let's get to that part. The film came out and something didn't sit quite right with me. I loved it. It was Star Wars. The excitement of it, all the sound effects, the music, being in a cinema, watching a Star Wars film, all the little stuff, seeing C-3PO and R2-D2 on screen and having the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Magic happened. But just something behind that did not sit right with me. And I'll be honest, I felt kind of depressed. There was like it was anticlimactic, but it was more than that. There was something I still can't describe it. There's something just did not sit right with me. And I think at this point, if I kind of rewind it a bit, there was actually a pirate version of this film going around. And I think a lot of people saw the film that way. I did actually see probably the first 20 minutes of that film. There was a computer game shop, and they were playing the film in the shop illegally, like months before. Because in the UK we didn't get the Phantom Menace till a couple of months after America did, so it was kind of doing the rounds at this point. And so after the film came out anyway, I managed to get actually hold of a copy of that, so we didn't have to wait so long for the home video release. And I've watched it quite a few times since, and still enjoying it when I watched it, but there was just something unsatisfying about it when you compare it to the original films. There was all the buzz there of loving the new Star Wars film, and I'm digging it and stuff, but at the same time, the film itself just wasn't all that good, and I knew it, but I didn't know it. Because I think it was overshadowed with just the hype and the buzz of it's finally here. And I mean, the film did have some good aspects to it as well, which I'm going to get into. But years went past, and then the other films came out, which I'm going to talk about separately, so I'm not going to get into that. But I think it was really after the last prequel came out in 2005, I just burnt out, and I'm not even a really that big a fan of Star Wars anymore. And funnily enough, I actually, having not seen any of the Star Trek films for a long time, I think a couple of years after that last Star Wars film came out, I started getting into Star Trek, and I thought, this franchise is actually way better than Star Wars. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my age, I don't know, maybe I've matured a bit, and it's not all about the special effects and sound effects and all that kind of stuff. But no, I think it burnt me out. The prequel trilogy just seriously burnt me out. It started with the Phantom Menace. So that's just my kind of fan thoughts on it, my memories of it at the time, and the way I kind of, looking back now, I can kind of appreciate bits of the film for what they are, but overall, it's interesting looking back, because at the time, I had the blinkers on, I really did, and it's kind of like being in a relationship. I mean, I've been there, I'm sure people watching this will understand and relate to this, whether you're a guy or a girl. You'll sometimes get in a relationship with somebody who you're really happy with. There's so much about it. It might even be somebody that you've liked and wanted to be with for quite a while, or it might just be the kind of person you've been wanting to settle down with for quite a while. Like, it would be really nice to actually meet somebody who's interested in this like I am, and then you get with them, and then you feel kind of overwhelmed that you're with somebody like that. But there's something about them. It might be that they're really just obnoxious, they're aggressive, they're mean, or whatever your gripe is with them. You kind of don't see it when you're there, and that's why a lot of people are in abusive relationships, and a lot of people have compared the love of the Star Wars prequels to being in an abusive relationship. In kind of, not in a serious sense, but there are parallels. I think that's really kind of key. I mean, there's another way of looking at it. Somebody has described the Star Wars prequels as the member of your family that you don't want to have anything to do with. They might be like involved in drugs, they might be mentally ill, whatever. They're a bit of a liability anyway, basically. But they're a member of your family. You have to live with them, you have to put up with them. That's kind of, again, the way that we are with the Star Wars prequels. But the negative stuff aside, it's hard to do a review or a video of talking about the Phantom Menace without being negative. But there's some positive stuff which I always liked at the time and still live with me today. And that is just little things like the sound effects, which may sound like a really small thing, but visuals and sound effects from all the Star Wars films have always been a major part of the experience with them. And Ben Burt, who did the sound effects for all the films, did a really good job with The Phantom Menace. I've just watched this film tonight, and although a lot of the film annoys me or just generally bores me, what he did with the sound effects, like bits with the pod racing scene, are just like amazing. Not and not anything we haven't seen elsewhere necessarily. I mean, I've seen a lot of other good films with great sound effects, but there's just something about Ben Burt, the work that he's done on films like this, really does stand out. And I think that was something that I think is kind of a silver lining when you're watching The Phantom Menace, because there's bits of it that I didn't really enjoy, but I thought, a lot of respect for them, because in that department anyway. Also the music as well, again. I'm not like a big audiophile or anything. I'm talking about the sound effects and the music, but kind of come across that way. But the music by John Williams, the score, really good. I mean, Duel of the Fates, which is the music during the end scene, the lightsaber battle between Darth Maul and the two Jedi. Such a great track. And I think they released that as a single. I know there's a music video for it. But again, just really makes up for the underwhelming abyss of feelings towards the Phantom Menace. So when you've got little things like that, I do look back with nostalgia on this film. It was a difficult time in my life. This is just me personally. As I kind of coming out of my kind of college years and starting work and just kind of trying to find happiness basically in everything that I did. And this summer that the film came out, and it was something that I'd looked forward to. It was a big part of pop culture, which is something that really has influenced me. I felt really let down inside watching this film, and it was a time when I was kind of down as well, so I kind of look back with some kind of affection towards those days, but at the same time I look back with kind of bitterness towards it as well. That's just me, that's just my kind of fan perspective. I know most people might not even relate to that, but better than me reviewing the film. There's so many reviews of the film that nitpick, and that's great that they do that, because it's entertaining and it's kind of thought-provoking. This video, again, is just me kind of rambling. This is just all about stuff that's kind of going on up there, so I hope somebody gets something out of this. But I'll probably leave it there anyway, because I'm really kind of venturing off out there. So for now, this is my review of The Phantom Menace from my perspective. Next, I'm going to be talking about the Attack of the Clones film from 2002. I don't know which film in the prequel trilogy I think is, well, better or worse, depending on which way you're kind of judging it. In some ways, I think The Phantom Menace is the best of the three. In a lot of ways, I think it's the worst of the three. It depends what mood I'm in, to be honest. So many factors. But yeah, like I said, I'll just leave it there because I'm kind of rambling on. So next video that I do on this in this series is obviously going to be Attack of the Clones. I've got plenty to say about that, so check back. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, there's some information coming up on how you can do so. So for now, I'm just going to leave it there and say, may the Force be with you, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just so you know, for more news, reviews and retrospectives, you can like our page on Facebook, simply called Brand X Reviews. But as well as that, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube via this video. You can also bookmark our website, which is brandxreviews.com, which is pretty much a central hub for everything that I've just mentioned. So check that out, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.